It's right in front of your face.
It's right in front of your face.
I'd like to start off by saying Barak Tehawa, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Chakodash. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is It's Right in Front of Your Face. And pretty much I'm talking about the MOTB. Now, there's a brother that comes to the camp. He's in the audience. It's a correct brother. He gave me some information a while back. Had to be at least a month ago or so. And I never really got a chance to look at it. I kind of glanced at it, but I never really got a chance to really read through it. And I was sitting here kind of reading through it, not kind of reading through it. And man, this thing is bad. And Spirit allowed me to find it online. So I just want to share some points, some bullet points off of it. And it's dealing with the WEF, the World Economic Forum. And there's something called Advancing Digital Agency, the Power of Data Intermediaries, Insight Report, February 2022. And you can see it right here. This is it right here. And I linked this in the description box in case anyone's interested. But before we go here, I want to touch on a scripture that I think Gray Milson has broke the scripture down so many times that you can't even count. Because this scripture here is a very important scripture concerning prophecy and concerning what's going to cause everything to speed up once they put it in place. And there's so many avenues, so many things going on right now, and so many talks of different nations going digital, so on and so forth, that, if you can't see that this is the MOTB is the micro C hip, then you're either blind or you sold out. It's just the bottom line. So I want to go through this real quick. Those of you that have been through it, you already know what we're going to deal with. But those of you that haven't, this may be your first time listening. This is a very important prophecy for us to be watching for, because this is going to determine how quick we get out of here. The sooner that they push this thing on the world stage, the sooner we can get out of here, So right here, Revelation 13:16, it says, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. All right. Now, when you look at this word mark, you have to go beyond the English word, because there's many definitions for the word mark in English. You have mark the name, you have, mark as in a mark, written on a wall, so on and so forth. So with the Bible, you have to go either to the Hebrew or to the Greek, depending on where you're. If you're in the Old Testament, you go to the Hebrew. If you're in the New Testament, you go to the Greek, to see what Greek word you have for particular words and what the meaning of it is. And that'll usually give you a better insight into what the scripture is speaking about. So when we look up this word mark, right? The word mark here, and the blue letter and the concordances, they're set up with letters and numbers. The H is a representation of the Hebrew, the G is a representation of the Greek. So in this case, in the Strong's, you have Greek or G 5480, and the word there is charagma. All right, charagma. It says a stamp, an imprinted mark. So something that's going to be cut into. So remember, this is something that to know of importance, because this is going to be something that's going to be cut into the flesh for a particular purpose. We're going to go back and read that again after we go through this breakdown, and then we're going to read the 17th verse, and then we're going to get a major point or part in this report from the WEF from February 2022, so you could see that it's right there. It's right in people's faces. So it says the mark stamped on the forehead or the right hand of as the badge of the followers of the anti-Messiah, which is pretty much is the anti-Messiah system. They're painting it like there's one antichrist, there's many antichrists, but it is a badge, you know. And what is a badge? Well, let's look up this word imprinted first. This is to cut into, to print in. All right, boom. Imprint, impress or stamp a mark or outline on a surface or body, make an impression or mark on something. Um, they're not giving you too much, but it's pretty much to cut into, and we're gonna show you that because the idea of this charagma is something to cut into. Now, let's see the mark branded upon horses because you have something known as a brand, you know, that was used to identify a person's belongings. You know, particular animals had a branding on them. Thing carved, see, something that you cut into. Sculpture, graven work. All right. Mm, a scratch or etching, because you have to cut into. You know, like if you have a graven image, you cut into that graven image. You take a chisel and cut into it. You know, so this particular mark is going to be something that's going to be cut into, and it's here it says a badge of servitude, and that's exactly what it's going to be. Because in order for you to be able to function in this future system or this future world that's coming, you have to take this mark, you know, to be able to function. And this is why everything that you see is going digital. They're revolutionizing everything to go digital. All right. You know, everything is being moved from a physical to digital, everything online. All right. Now, when we go to the root word of this word here, charagma, you have the word charax, right? Now, the word charax is a pale or stake, a palisade, you know, basically something used like you have um, something called staking your claim. You know, you're pretty much taking something that's yours or claiming something that's yours. So this karax is, and usually, like let's say you have land, you would have a stake, right? And you would have it would be a stick, and you at the end of it, it would be cut, looked like an arrow, and then you would use that and put that into the ground and hit it on top with a hammer or a mallet to drive it into the earth. That's what the karax is. It's a stake that goes into the ground. In this case, this would be the delivery system of that mark that we read, the charagma. The charagma is the mark, which is the micro C hip. And then this right here, the karax, would be the delivery system used to embed that particular device into a person's body. All right. Then what we also have here is the last part of the root word right here. I'm sorry, right here it says from karaso, karax, to sharpen to a point. Why? To cut into. Right. Then it goes on here to say grapho through the idea of scratching or cutting into. So you have the word grapho here, right? And the word grapho goes into to write with reference to the form of the letters, to delineate or form letters on a tablet, parchment, paper, or other material, to write with reference to the contents of the writing. So you're pretty much writing down what is this information. You're writing down information, right? To express in written characters, to commit to writing things not to be forgotten, write down, record. So pretty much these would be the records. So the device, the micro C hip, which is the charagma, which is the micro C hip, you have that's the device. You have the delivery system of the device, the corax, which would be the thing they use to put it into your hand or into your forehead. Then within that device, you have storage, and that storage will be where you keep your data, your information, your records, so on and so forth, and everything's. And we've been saying this for I don't know how long. That they're going to use this device to continue to put all of your records on there, everything about your health records, your driver record, your financial records, so on and so forth. All right, so let's go back. Let's read these two precepts, and then let's go into the major part of the bill, or not the bill, the insight report of the WEF, which stands for World Economic Forum. Revelation 13:16, and he calls it all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, because this is going to be the way for you to conduct business in the future, right? And that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. So if you don't have this particular mark, you will not be able to function in this new system. Now, when we go here to the Advancing Digital Agency, which is from the World Economic Forum, the Power of Data Intermediaries Insight Report, February 2022, right? I'm going to go straight to the point, right? You give you a table of contents. In the table of contents, we want to go to number 3, or section 3, moving towards trusted digital agency, which is page 20. So let's go here, type in page 20, and it should take us, see, moving towards trusted digital agency. Now we're going to read some of this. Matter of fact, it says digital agents may negotiate access to data above and beyond a simple binary gated function, because everything is going to be interconnected. Now, we read that this device, this mark, the charagma, was going to be there was going to be a device used to deliver it or insert it into a person, and it's going to have records on it. So that means it's going to be cut into the flesh, whether the head, the hand, or wherever they put it on the body. Now, what I want to do is go straight to the 23rd verse first, and then we're going to read a little bit of this. I'm sorry, not 23rd verse. I want to go straight to the page 23, right? Because there is something in here that the brother had highlighted, and I looked at it, I was like, wow. So it says evolution in digital identity solutions and how they can help. Remember, this is a report that was put out February 2022 from the World Economic Forum. It says digital ID. It says consent, and it gives you, what the consent would, the consent that you give, right? Then it says shift control to user, right? Telling you that you have your personal data, you could do whatever you want, blah, 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 blah. But the point over here is what? Future. Agency. It says next level of data intermediaries embedded in body, devices, homes, cities, etc. So here you have the embedding of this device into the body. That's why they say they want to, when you hear these different pundits, like Carl Schwab, which used to be the head of that, they would say that they want to track people subdermally. Noah Yuval Harari, that devil, said the same thing. All right. So now that we got that out the way, which shows you that these have been the plans all along. Going way back, when Aaron Russo had a meeting with Nick Rockefeller. Nick Rockefeller told him that the plans of the Illuminated Ones was to have everyone micro C-hipped. You see, because this would be a way to totally gain control of the world. And in order for you to function, you would have to have this device embedded in you, and you would have to be on your best behavior, because this system, once they have control of you, depends on your total obedience, and you can only get benefits through these different merits, like the social credit score, so it's been the plan all along. Now I'm going to go up here. We're going to read a little bit of this. All right, let me make this a little bit bigger. All right, It says the role of digital identity in supporting human agency. Can the use of data intermediaries establish a notion of sort of digital self-determination by helping people navigate technologies and data ecosystem models without losing sight of what it means to be human in terms of agency and expectations? Our digital identities may hold the key to allowing us to determine how we can start to navigate the data ecosystem around us in a more sophisticated manner. I just want to, make sure I hit the main points. Okay. Yep. So it says here, digital identity. A digital ID is the electronic equivalent of an individual's identity card. It is a way to provide verified, personally identifying information of an individual for a software to read and process. See, to read and process. Both online and offline environments can adopt digital identity, and it can also act as a key by storing, see, records and deploying permission. See, so once everything is online, you could, how you go, you have certain apps or whatever the case may be, or certain, uh, bank cards or whatever, and then you have access to it. You have your passcode and all that. Or this is going to be all this is how they've been programming the people for the future so that everything would be digital, right? It says carefully designed and properly managed, digital ID can also enhance privacy protection and reduce the rise of identity fraud each time only since each time only minimum information is needed for authentication for the specific purpose. Some of the biometric, which is body measurement, based digital ID systems have already been adopted in financial transactions and for a cash free shopping experience. You see that? Cashless society. They've been talking about cashless societies for the longest. I remember hearing about this in the late 80s, early 90s about a cashless society. The Muslims back then, the Ansar Allah community would speak about because back then, the credit cards were starting to get real popular, and they were saying that was a step closer or a push towards a total cashless society. So I've known about a cashless society for a long time, but I really didn't understand what it was all about. It says such authentication and authorization process can be completed in real time and free of hassle. Good digital identity has 5 key components as defined by a multi-stakeholder group curated by the World Economic Forum. Useful, inclusive, secure, offers choice, fit for purpose. Figure 2 shows the importance of identity in everyday lives. So we're going to go to, that's a digital ID. We're going to go to figure number 2. And it gives you a host of different things from healthcare to telecommunications. Now, just bear with me because I want to try to hit the main points. All right, so here in healthcare, which we told you, you're going to have all of your medical records on there, right? For users to access insurance, treatment, to monitor health devices, wearables, for care providers to demonstrate their qualifications. Next one, financial services, everything digital, everything, your finances, everything's going to be on there. To open bank accounts, carry out online financial transactions, you see? So everything is being pushed. Though the plans of the world and the World Economic Forum is to push everything to a digital system, which will be easier to track everyone. And if you don't comply, guess what? You get shut out of the system until you come to your senses. But now on another token, on the same token, if you take that device to make your life easier, you will be destroyed here in America, Babylon the Great, the lake of fire, by thermonuclear destruction and by the lasers from the chariots. So it says here, food and sustainability. See, so they understand if you control food, you can control the people. If you control everything and have people, right now people are so, you know, wound up and um desperate because they can't find jobs, they can't pay their bills, they can't eat. So this is a way to wear the people down. So when they bring this new system in place, the majority of people are going to be so exhausted that they're not going to want to fight anymore. They're just going to take whatever they give them. That's how they're going to deceive the majority of the world into accepting this thing. It says for farmers and consumers to verify provenance of produce, to enhance value and traceability in supply chains. See, so all of these things that are going digital is all also to trace, to be able to find out where every transaction went to. See, because there's always some type of digital footprint of all of these transactions, right? It says travel and mobility, to book trips, to go through border control between countries or regions if you want to travel. Humanitarian response, to access services, to demonstrate qualifications to work in a foreign country. So if you want to go work in a foreign country, you want to be a humanitarian aid or whatever the case may be, you have to have this device. E-commerce, shopping online, which they already got the majority of people, already used to this system. So these devils, they introduce things gradually. They don't throw things on your lap right away. They could have easily just say, you know what, everybody has to get the micro C hip and that's that. No, they gradually put it in there, and this is why it says, before we read on, this is why it says in Second Corinthians, right, the second chapter and the 11th verse, it says, let least Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. And we are supposed to know these things. You individuals out there, you Israelite men, especially you Israelite men, sisters too, but mainly the men, you're supposed to know these things because you're here to learn to be a teacher. So you have to know these things so you can, if you're going to go out there and tell somebody, about the MOTB or whatever the case may be, you have to know how to identify it so that they can stay away from it. Because if you tell somebody to stay away from something, but you don't identify what it is, how will they be able to stay away from it? How will they be protected? How will they be, well prepared not to accept these things? If you're not setting up the hedge for them, you're not identifying what the problem is. You're not giving them the name of Yahweh and Yahweh Shai, which are keys in being locked in and secure and safe in this truth. So Ecclesiasticus 5:15, be not ignorant in anything in a great matter or a small. And this happens to be a great matter because it's something dealing with prophecy. So e-commerce, to shop, to conduct business transactions and secure payments. See, so everything digital. Social platforms, if you want to enjoy your YouTube, or you want to enjoy your social media, your IGs and your TikToks and all that, you got to have that device. You see, for social interaction, to access third-party services that rely on social media logins. See, e-government, which is a government, electronic government, everything electronic, for citizens to access and use services, file taxes, vote, collect benefits. So everything's going to be online. That's why you will own nothing and you will be happy. Why? They show you this short movie where everyone has their own little apartment. They get their rations dropped off. They get money in their account every month and so on and so forth. And they'll drop off the ration to you, but through a drone, living in, next to each other, like in a 15-minute city, so this is the wave of the future. Lock everything down, keep everyone, sedated, no one with free thought, no one can protest, no one can do nothing because they want total control of the whole entire world. That's why there's going to be a great time of testing. Let's go real quick to Revelation chapter 3. This is going to be the hour of temptation. Verse 10, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation. So there's going to be a time where everyone on the planet is going to be tried because things are getting hard. They're going to get harder and harder and harder, right? So it says, which shall come upon all the world in the oikumene sense, meaning the entire planet, to try them that dwell upon the earth. See, which is gay or gi or geo, which is the earth. So the whole entire planet Earth that is on this grid is going to be tried, because in order for you to access your account, in order for you to access money, in order for you to access your social media platforms, or pay your bills or whatever the case may be, you have to go through this system. All right? But if you take it, you're going to be destroyed. So going back here, you have telecommunications for users to own and use devices. So if you want to have a cell phone, if you want to have whatever the latest, because they're saying, some sources are saying that by 2030 they plan on, not having any cell phones or anything like that, which, we don't see this place going that far. This place, all they got to do is push this, micro C hip, make it mandatory, or push it on the world, and you're going to see things move a lot faster. But they have a plan for 2030, which they, by 2025, which we're in right now, they have accomplished a lot more than they dreamed of. But because they're trying to speed everything up, because the scriptures say, let's get there real quick. Revelation 12. See, these devils aren't stupid. They know what time it is. They know what the deal is, but they're blinded by their pride. Revelation 12 and 12. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth. Why? Because it's going to be a worldwide event, that these devils are going to do. They're going to push this thing globally. And of the sea, woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, which is Esau, the so-called white man, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he has but a short time. So they know that the clock is ticking on them. And this is why they're moving so fast. This is why they're moving right now with such a fast pace. And the word there is oligos, short, oligos, little, small, few. So they know that their time, they don't have much time to accomplish these things. All right. So let's go back. Telecommunications to monitor devices and sensor transmitting data such as energy usage, air quality, traffic congestion. So pretty much, they're going to tell you, like, this is going on here. Like you get the traffic report, or you get the news, and so on, so on. So this is all going to be interconnected. Everything's going to be interconnected. Let's see. So now we're going to jump back to, because there's a little bit more here, but I'm not going to read all this. You get a chance, you can read it. But this is the point here: evolution in digital identity solutions and how they can help. Digital ID, now, evolution, future. So this is now consent, traditional intermediaries, and user consent, e.g. web browsers, apps, mobile devices. Evolution, this is how it's going to evolve. Shift control to users, so-called. Personal data stores, on-device data storage, and more advanced data intermediaries, e.g. smart devices, agents, so on and so forth. Then the future. The agency is the one that's going to have everything in control. Everything's going to be centralized. It's going to go through one direct place. It says next level of data intermediaries embedded in body, devices, homes, cities, etc. And that's why the word there embedded, let's see if we can copy that. Let's embedded of an object fixed firmly and deeply in a surrounding mass, implanted, attached to a military unit. Okay, implanted. You know, it means to plant in. All right. So let's get rid of that. So this is embedded, something that's going embedded in the body. That's why it says in Revelation chapter 13, and he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Let me see something. In epi. Thing is moving slow now. Upon, on, at, by. They got a lot of stuff here. So this is something that they plan on putting inside of every individual out there. No, but as I mentioned before, let's go to Revelation 14. Because oh yeah, it's gonna make your life easy. It's gonna make your life, convenient. But there's a penalty that comes with that convenience. Revelation 14 and 9, and the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast and his image and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of the Most High, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation. It says, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angel and in the presence of the Lamb. So that when that nuclear fire starts to blaze, Yahweh Shai is going to be here and the angels shooting lasers down, on top of all of that. And those that receive that mark are going to have their date with the lake of fire, which is here in America, Babylon the Great. It says, and the smoke of their torment ascended up forever and ever, because it's going to burn for a very long time. And they have no rest day nor night, who worship the beast and his image, and whosoever receiveth the mark of his name. Yeah, because you're going to have to continually do whatever they want you to do. Or else, if you don't comply, they're going to cut you out of the system, man. It's just that simple. So with that, I pray that you brothers and few sisters have been edified. Till the next time I say, Shalom.